Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of Real Talk. It's a podcast about real people, real products, real companies, and real life. For real. I'm your host, Christy Masters, and this is where we start figuring out what's real together. I figured out the best place to start this podcast is with a simple introduction and an honest confession. Hi, my name is Christy, and I have buying fatigue. A few years ago, I hit a moment that I think a lot of people have experienced. I started realizing that apparently everything in my house is toxic. At least that's what the internet was telling me. Cleaning products, food, beauty, kids' toys, packaging, cookware, laundry detergent, even my lawn. Everywhere I turned was another article, another influencer, another documentary explaining that something I had been using for years was suddenly terrible and going to kill us. So I did what a lot of families do when they care about their families. I tried to fix everything. I have a family, and if you've ever had to shop for a household, especially with kids involved, you know it's already a circus. I remember when my kids were little, we were at Publix and I was standing in the grocery store and I was trying to read labels, and I have these four kids under 7, and I'm sitting there and I'm trying to read the labels, trying to shop, trying to, they want snacks, they're begging for stuff. And all of a sudden, it feels like you're pushing an octopus down an aisle. And this literally happened where all of a sudden there was an entire row of glass spaghetti jars all over the floor, you know? And it's exhausting. It's at that point where grocery shopping or any kind of shopping becomes completely exhausting. But you have no choice. You have to keep going because I wanted to do the right thing for my family, that's why I started reading every label, researching ingredients. I switched brands 100 times. Do not get my husband started about deodorant. I even tried to make it. I threw things away. I replaced entire sections of our pantry and bathroom cabinets. The rule was if I couldn't pronounce the ingredient, it was out. And then at one point, I realized I was a one woman recall department for my house. But for a while, we did okay. And then I hit the wall. Trying to do everything perfectly is just exhausting. Grocery store shopping was a research project. Cleaning products required investigation, and even the simple things like snacks, shampoo, soap. I was doing these deep dives into ingredients and sourcing, and the more I learned, the more confusing it really became. Every product was clean, natural. It had all these badges, but I don't know what they mean. Non-GMO, okay, I get that. Organic, natural, gluten-free, seed oil, sustainable, eco-friendly. And then you're like, hang on, what actually matters? So honestly, I just reached the point where I was so overwhelmed that I just stopped trying for a while. I basically, well, it was over COVID, so a little grace, but I threw my hands up in the air and I was like, you know what? I can't keep doing this. I was tired of researching every single purchase. I was tired of feeling like if I brought the wrong laundry detergent, somehow I failed as a parent or I wasn't being good enough. So honestly, for a while, I just opted out. And that feeling stuck with me. I felt like I wasn't doing the right thing for my family. And then I realized something. The problem isn't that I didn't care or that you don't care or that people don't care. The problem really is that caring has become completely exhausting. Customers today we're drowning in marketing claims. It's clean, it's natural, I mean, I just have so much fatigue over it. There are more labels and more certifications and more opinions and more conflicting information than ever before. And somehow it's made shopping even harder. So that's really where For Real got started. For Real stands for real people, real food, real products, real companies, real life. It's actually simple. What if there was a place that was focused on transparency of these brands instead of perfection? A place where companies were willing to show their work, where you could see what's in every product, where it comes from, why the company made the choices they did. A place where I'm not pretending that this is perfect. This is not going to be perfect. I'm just being honest about it. That's what we're building here at For Real. It's not just a marketplace, it's a platform for all of us built around trust. Here we talk about products with real people, real founders. We're going to read some labels together. We'll talk about ingredients. We'll talk to companies and brands that we align with. And over time, hopefully, we will bring together brands that meet a simple standard. They are willing to be transparent about how their products are made. Because the truth is, most people are not trying to be perfect shoppers. They just want to make better choices. I want to make better choices. But I don't have a chemistry degree. Although I hope to have on my chemist friend who will kind of educate us on some of that stuff. He actually has a chemistry degree. If you've ever stood in the store aisle staring at two products, trying to figure out which one is actually better, or if you've ever read an ingredient label and thought, what does this even mean? Or if you've ever just felt tired trying to buy the right things for your family, you're not alone. That feeling has a name, and it's called buying fatigue. And this podcast is where we start cutting through the noise. This is Real Talk. This is where we figure out what is actually real. Thanks for listening to the first episode of Real Talk. If this conversation resonates with you, you can find more at forreal.life and on Substack, where we go deeper into products, ingredients, and the companies and founders behind them. And if you know someone who has ever stood in a grocery store aisle reading labels like it's a final exam, send this episode their way. Until next time, remember, real food, real people, real products, real companies.